What's up, guys? It's your girl Virgo Queen here, and you are watching The Todd Atkins Show. Todd has been involved in covering the sport of mixed martial arts since the 1990s while living in Hawaii and Japan. Subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for future episodes.
Okay. All right, it's just Todd Atkins, and I'm here with Jada from Slapwatch.
On
Slapwatch
TikTok.
on TikTok and
Yes.
Instagram, but most of us on TikTok. And one of the things I like to do on my channel is bring some other creators on, even if they're maybe not on YouTube or whatever, if they're
hmm
just doing stuff on any platform. And so I decided to bring her on, reached out. She wanted to do it, so it's cool. I appreciate you taking the time to do it.
Yeah, thanks for
And
having me. I appreciate it.
yeah. And so, what I first want to do is maybe talk about when you first kind of found this sport or maybe found martial arts.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting because I'm not a sports person at all. My family is like my mom loves football. My whole family does. I grew up around, I guess, in the fall time, everyone loving football. I never cared. I'm not a very athletic person myself, but the thing that got me into martial arts, it's honestly embarrassing, but it's Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. I saw I love TikTok, and when that fight was scheduled, everyone was making edits of it or just like talking about it in general. And I'm the type of person who likes everything on my feed. So within liking a bunch of things about not I wasn't really liking the Jake Paul stuff, but at least the Mike Tyson things. I was learning a lot more about Mike Tyson in that time. And I had a weird, not I wouldn't say connection to Mike Tyson, but I was like very interested by his story, the good parts and like the accolades, not really like the crazy things that he's done. But from there, I started to then get things from the UFC on my timeline, and I don't know why I was so like drawn into it, but I was, and that was in what? That was probably November when that fight happened last year, and somehow I found Shara Magomedov, Shara Bullet, and I was like hooked at that point. And I don't know. I think I have like just a very like intense personality where if I like something, I will go all in on it. So I learned as much as I possibly could. The first card that I watched was Shavkat and Ian Gary, and I did not know what was happening literally at all. I was like, I don't know what to expect from this. Like, in that moment, I didn't think Ian Gary lost. Like, I just was not really paying attention, but I was really excited to be involved. And yeah, I just have it's consumed so much content since then that I just feel like I think I'm still a casual, as they say, but I think that I've learned a lot within my probably only year of watching. And it's all thanks to, yeah, that terrible Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight. So shout out Jake Paul for that, I guess.
What do you think you learned about Mike Tyson?
Well, it's weird because my mom and dad used to watch boxing back in his era. And I mean, I didn't grow up with it, so I didn't really learn anything. But the thing is what I didn't know about Mike Tyson is like, I always knew he went to jail because I remember like hearing, oh, he found Islam within jail. And I was like, oh, I never looked into it. So I was like, oh, he must have like beat up somebody. And I was like, when I found out why he went to prison, I was like, whoa, okay, that's actually not great at all. Um, I don't know. I just found out that he has like a very sad story. Like I feel like his trials and tribulations were just, kind of upsetting, and he just seems like he still struggles with a lot of like mental issues and things. And like I just thought it was like, I don't know, not relatable, but I was just like, I kind of feel for this guy. And then I found out why, and I was like, okay, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm not like connected to him anymore. But I guess I was just seeing a bunch of edits of him on TikTok about like, his sad story and like why he fights and just the pigeons and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And for some reason I was like really interested in it. And then yeah, then I found the UFC, and then I was like, wait, I'm more interested in this than I would be with boxing because I'm more interested in, I guess, maybe the extreme violence of MMA, like with like you can use your legs and like choke people out and things. So that definitely felt more interesting to me than boxing. And then Jake Paul and Mike Tyson being my first like, event that I watched, I was like, oh my God. I knew that it was not all boxing is not like that. Like I know that there's like true, like real boxing matches that actually have exciting moments. But that I was just like, okay, yeah, I don't think boxing is for me. This is just lackluster in a lot of ways, especially because I'm like, oh, Jake Paul, I don't like that. So yeah.
The reason I asked is because Mike, when he was younger,
Mm,
um, I'd say a lot of when he started out, kind of he had everything that was needed for a fighter to be successful, and the lessons that they learned from him being successful could apply to all the others. So, Mike was a
mm,
foster child. He
mm-hmm,
uh he was taken in by Customato, who was his trainer,
mm-hmm, yeah,
and his wife. They lived there. They
mm-hmm,
had some other kids there, and
right,
I think he was almost like 200 pounds of muscle at 13 years old.
yeah,
You know, he did
crazy,
he didn't like when they took him to competitions, people didn't believe he was his age. They were like trying not to let him compete and stuff.
right,
And he was terrified to compete. And there's a video. I don't know if you've seen it, but maybe I'll send it to you where Ted Atlas kind of has to talk him back into going back into the ring because
mm,
they're outside and he's kind of crying and he's humongous.
yeah,
And yeah, he talked him back in there and he went out and knocked the guy out in like 2 seconds. But what they were doing with him was they were taking him to the arena, back to the gym, back to the
mm,
arena, back to the gym. They gave him no time to do anything else because they knew
yeah,
he'd get in trouble
yeah,
if he did.
and
And
I
they
think
had a
that that's
team of people. They had a team of like three trainers, Custom Auto, Teddy Atlas, Kevin Rooney, and he
mm,
had a promoter. It wasn't Don King, it was somebody else. So they were all
mm,
together at that time, these four people. So no one got into their circle.
mm,
So they had Mike under control and they had a circle that was all people that knew each other, that were working
interest,
together. So
yeah.
that was perfect for him to just and but once he got there, now the circle gets broken and yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's what's very interesting about like sports in general. Like it seems pure. I obviously can't really like attest to this because I never really was in sports, but I just think that especially within football, you see these people who are very successful, but then the second they get fame and money, like they just throw it away because they've never, especially so if someone like Mike, where he came from nothing and like he was, disadvantaged, and then yeah, you have the fame and the money and the notoriety, like you're gonna go crazy with it. And I think we see that in the UFC too. Like, I think that there's plenty of people that you see that you're like, okay, you started off humble, you started off with like good intentions. And then once you get the like, fire underneath you, you kind of take it for granted. And now you're doing crazy things. And I don't know. I try not to like, well, no, I'm pretty opinionated. So there are people how I don't like for their actions outside of the octagon for sure. But I do have to have like a little bit of understanding that I know I would act different if I was in that situation. But at the same time, I kind of understand it. Like, what are you going to do when you have all this money? Like, most people are not going to be smart with it. But yeah, it just happens a lot with people where they just go off the rails once they get where they need to go. So it's like it's been interesting since I've never really liked sports and I've never like looked up to anybody sports wise. Like I've definitely been picking and choosing who I like really keep up with in that way because I'm like there's some people who I can't do it. I'm just not a fan for a lot of different reasons. So yeah.
The only thing I watch is, like I started watching 93. I watched UFC 2,
Mm,
and I was in high school at the time.
mm,
And so now I just kind of watch to see like the matchup, so to speak. I don't really care
mhm.
about who wins or loses or any of that stuff, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that will fade with me eventually. I think that's what the
Yeah.
consensus been for a lot of people that I know that have like I've talked to about, liking the UFC. They're like, "Oh, I used to like it. I was so deep into it like in the 2010s and then now I they know fighters, but they're like I'm not like keeping up in that way." And I think it's just very fresh and new to me. Like I care so much about it now because I don't know, it's like it really is a brand new world for me to be involved in a sport in general. And like I personally like the UFC because it is so personal. I think it's a little harder for me to get behind a team sport because, well, I'm supposed to be like, woo, offense. Like, offense was awesome. Like, I just appreciate it's all about one specific person and it's all on the line for one person. And it
Yeah.
makes it all the more devastating when they lose, when you really like them, because it's really just them and it's at the fault of them. Or it's like all the more exciting when your person wins. So it's like, it's funny. I've even gotten my mom involved where like if Shara fights, if Diego fights, she's at the TV screaming. I have so many videos of her being like, "Come on, get him!" And it's like it's like a whole new like I don't know. It's endorphins like crazy, and I could only imagine what it's like to be the one in the octagon at that time. But as a fan, like the anxiety I feel for the one person is just it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And just to get back to Mike a little bit, like
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
before we talk a little bit more about you, it's like it was already fracturing a little bit because Mike, I want to say he may have pushed one of his teachers or punched one of them,
Mm.
something like that, when he was young. And Teddy Atlas, who you may see if you watch his YouTube, he's really he's like you. He's pretty opinionated, but he's been around the block. Obviously, he has a lot of knowledge about
Yeah.
boxing and stuff. And UFC, he's been doing some UFC fights too. But
Mm.
he was telling Customato maybe we should not let him train for a while.
Mm.
Take this away from him,
Mm.
And Customato's like, no, and
Yeah.
that was and then I think he had made a pass at Teddy Atlas's niece or something, and Teddy Atlas pulled a gun on him,
Wow.
and that's so they sent Teddy Atlas off, at that point. So
Yeah.
yeah, it
Oh.
was already starting to fracture before that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Well, oh, wow. So even before he was out of school, he was already going
yeah,
off the
yeah,
rails?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh, wow. So yeah, I didn't even know that. So he must have just been, was he professional at that point though? Oh, wow.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, he was already.
While he was in school?
He wasn't. No, he wasn't. Not while he was in school. He was heavyweight champion by 21.
Oh, wow.
So he,
Yeah,
he was
that's
already a
crazy.
professional. Yeah, but he hadn't reached the height where he was a heavyweight champion at that point. Yeah.
Ugh, that is, and that's crazy. And like, and the thing about just even hearing that, like, I feel like that's kind of, I feel like that'd be kind of maddening as like an athlete if all you were to do is like just train and go compete, train, go to, like that doesn't seem healthy. I feel like that's like an extreme
Yeah.
because I'd be pissed off if I couldn't go hang out with friends. Like if you don't even
Right.
give me the chance to like acclimate to the world and like my whole world is just fighting, like especially I think that it can be therapeutic in a lot of ways. I'm sure it helped him control anger, this, that, and the third. But at the same time, if your mind is always just violent and like fighting, I feel like that probably he probably needed more like care and compassion outside of his small circle and like be able to make mistakes, hopefully not like illegal mistakes, but like make mistakes within like personal
Yeah.
relationships with like dating and things like that. And if you're just like yeah, honestly, hearing that too, that's kind of weird, especially just to like be taken in by a family and then just be like, "Hi, we're gonna breed you or like mold you to just be a fighter." I'd be like,
The
"Can I
reason they
have like?"
said that is, Teddy was like, look, Mike was the kind of guy who would follow someone into the elevator like an old lady and knock her lights out, and then take her purse. So we knew that he could do that kind of stuff. He was capable of that. So we didn't want to give him a chance to do that. And he loved boxing like custom. He would watch boxing with Custom Auto all night long.
Yeah,
Of all the great old boxers, he loved that stuff. So it's not that they knew he would self-destruct if
right.
they let him. It wasn't necessarily that he wanted to. It was that they were that was the life he was living, but they knew the second he got
Got off
into
track.
his adulthood where he could kind of go
Hmm.
that he was going to fall apart.
Well, then, yeah. I mean, I guess what years were those? Probably what
Oh wow, I don't know. That had to be like
80s.
yeah, maybe late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, now me, my Gen Z brain thinking, well, dang, they should have gotten some like mental health like help in that moment. But I bet they were not thinking like that back
Right.
then. They were like, let's just keep him into like two different locations so that he doesn't go crazy. Let's not think about why he'd go crazy. Like he probably needed like a therapist or something like in those moments, and that probably would have helped him as a kid. Also paired with boxing, like I'm sure that was helpful. Yeah, of course, it was probably very helpful for him to like only have a set routine of doing this thing and being watched by people who are going to keep him in check. But yeah, he probably needed a lot more, and I bet he could probably think about that today and think, "Dang, I probably needed a lot of help when I was young. It probably would have
Yeah.
helped a lot in my future." But yeah, no, he's Mike Tyson's cool. I think it was honestly very sad to watch that fight.
Yeah.
Like that was very upsetting as someone who doesn't even like know, like I didn't know a bunch of stuff about him. And like even my mom was watching with me and she was like, "Ugh," like I've watched Mike Tyson fight and obviously he was younger, more spry, but it was definitely like his spirit is broken at this point. And
Yeah.
him like showing his butt too, like that was really weird.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like a humiliation ritual or something. I'm like, man, this guy needs money. Like this guy needs money, and that's just like kind of sad. And like to give Jake Paul the glory as well. Like I just wish people would stop, you know, pandering to him. And like maybe you need to check Mike, but like, are you really gonna like lessen? I don't think it lessens his legacy at all. Like that does not
No.
tarnish what Mike Tyson has done. You know what I mean? But it's just like to stoop to the level of Jake Paul, sure you got to check, but at what cost? Like your butt being on Netflix is crazy. But yeah, I just felt sad and seeing him walk out by himself and tripping and just like it was my spirit was not liking that at all. And I mean, hey, hopefully that payout was worth it because yeah. And what do you think? Like you think that Mike even in his day and age could knock out Jake Paul?
In his day and in his
In
prime?
this day and age, sorry, his
Oh.
prime, of course, but like today, you think he was holding back?
Uh, yeah. I
Yeah,
think possibly, yeah. But it's hard to say because at that age, how old is he now?
pretty sure he's like 60 something.
Yeah, I mean at that age, it's hard to do that kind of stuff or throw a hard punch in the. Although I have seen some older guys. I saw a video of a Russian guy beat this kid up really bad, like a boxing. The kid was like a
Yeah,
teenage, maybe in the 20s, and this old man just annihilated him. You
yeah,
know,
and I would think that especially with because I know somebody who comes into my work, he's Russian, like he's been training his whole life. He's champion in Ukraine, Dagestan, all these different places, and I know he could beat up 90% of the any of the people who walked in the door, and he's been training his whole life, and so is Mike, obviously. So it's like I definitely feel like everyone was talking about the biting of the gloves. He was like holding back or whatever. I'm like, I don't know. I think Mike Tyson could knock out an elephant, to be honest. Like that's being dramatic, obviously, but I think he was showing a little mercy on Jake. Because what's your opinion? You think Jake is like a genuinely good boxer or what?
well, when I lived in Japan, I trained with a guy who was in his 50s, wrestler.
Mm,
And we would wrestle 3 times a week. They were training other Navy guys. I was in the Navy at the time,
mm,
and they would train Navy guys on base for free because him and one of his other buddies, who's maybe in his 30s, they wanted to use the mats. So
mm,
the base said, "Okay, you want to use these mats at the high school? Then you can train people then."
mm,
That's the trade-off. We're not just going to let
mm.
you walk in every night and use them. So they did, and this guy who's in his 50s kicked the crap out of me every night that I trained with him.
Right.
So could Mike beat up Jake Paul? I would think so, based on my own experience of training with the guy
With
who's
someone who is
in
older.
his 50s, yeah. And I was in
Yeah.
my 20s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would assume, yeah. Do I think Jake Paul's a good boxer? Not really. No.
And that's the guy that I'm talking about who comes into my work. He's like, yeah, he's a boxing coach now, and
Yeah.
I'm like, do you like Jake Paul? And he's like, do I like Jake Paul? Come on now. And now, of course, I could have said that already with just the fact that Jake Paul is just kind of like an influencer, obviously. Like, I was talking to my mom about it when we were watching, and she's like, I don't even know who Jake Paul is. I'm like, I know Jake Paul from Vine. I know Jake Paul from Instagram. I know Jake Paul from YouTube. Like, this was somebody who was doing dancing trends and now randomly wants to become a boxer. I don't take this man seriously. But then the more that I watch martial arts, I'm like, hey, maybe he has the potential. But then I also know how important it is. I guess not important, but like how much of a difference it makes when you train for longer in your life or when you start younger. And I feel like he started when he was like 20, I don't know, probably only like 5 years ago at this point. So like for him to be like trying to put on these big events, it's like, oh, it's only because you have money. It's not because you're good. It's because you have the means to, but like if you were to pull up to an actual event to have a true opponent that you didn't have anything involvement with, I think you're probably gonna go down. So yeah, I don't know. I don't like the whole Jake Paul thing. I see a bunch of him trying to do I hear he's gonna be fighting people in like an MMA for like, format, whatever. I'm just like, oh, no more. Stop giving this guy attention is all I'm asking. No more. We don't need to see him.
If you had to say what Jake Paul's style is, what would you say his boxing style is?
Goofball, I don't know,
There you
like,
go. That's
yeah.
why I don't think, any boxer that I've watched who has, some experience,
Hmm.
they have something that they do well or several things that they do well. They have a style that you could say, okay, this is kind of their style.
Hmm.
Whether it be Mike Tyson, James Toney, Floyd Mayweather, Manny
Hmm.
Pacquiao, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
They all had a style. You could say, this is what they're going to do.
Hmm.
This is their. I don't know what Jake Paul's style is to this day, and I've watched all those matches. He throws a
I
hard
think,
right hand, I mean, I guess, but I don't know what his style is. If I had to tell
right.
someone this is his style, I don't know.
And I think that, maybe he could end up being good, but it's just such a short amount of time that, yeah, I don't think he has, garnered that. His shorts were cute. I can tell you that. I liked his shorts. Like, he had a cute style in the sense of what shorts he had on, but yeah, there was nothing like, I didn't look at that fight. I guess that, again, I that was like my first boxing, like watching boxing, so I can't really like pinpoint a lot, but I wasn't like impressed. I wasn't like, wow, oh my God, I'd be super scared. Like, I don't know. Again, especially, I think that his reputation beforehand too, just like really doles him down as well. Like, would I be scared to get punched in the face by him? Yeah, but that's like, I'd get scared by any man punching me. But at the same time, like, I would just also be like, Jake Paul, the Vine man, no, I'm good. Like, I'm not scared of you. I'm not. That's not an opponent I'm scared of. And I think it's weird. Like, I don't keep up with boxing too much, but since I'm adjacent, I suppose like I can see a bunch of it on my timeline. And Tank Davis is apparently going to fight him, and it seems very odd because I feel like Tank Davis is in like a prime, right? Like, I feel like everybody knows him. I don't think he's very washed yet, so I think it's weird that he's like willing to fight Jake Paul, and I feel
I think
like,
the fight got canceled because Gervonta got in some domestic trouble again.
oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
I remember did see
which
that.
he's
Yeah.
done before, in
Yeah.
public even. So yeah,
Yikes.
yeah. Let's get back to you as far as like your first UFC event. You said it was Shavkat and Ian Gary. So maybe talk about like, okay, this is the first one I've ever seen. Kind of tell me what your feelings were watching it for the first, because I know my feelings were, but the sport was really weird back then. It was kind of,
Right. You said
yeah,
when was it? You said
night,
two?
yeah, UFC two. So 2 men enter, 1 man leaves, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And
No
they
rules,
could
so
wear
it's different.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. To me, it was more like almost like Eddie Mill, this guy, he says kind of like space exploration. That's kind of what you wanted to see what would happen. You weren't really kind of sure.
Yeah.
You had no clue, and you thought maybe somebody could get seriously hurt or killed.
Wasn't there no
I don't
time?
feel that now. I don't feel that way now. But I thought, I might actually see somebody get killed in this.
Was
You
there
know,
no time limit at that time?
yeah, yeah.
Oh heck no, that's crazy. Yeah, no, my thoughts were, I went over with my best friend and her boyfriend at the time, like, also like he already really liked UFC, so he was like, "Oh, come over, we can watch this." And I'm trying to remember. Oh, I it's Kaya Sakura, I'm pretty sure is his name. He was
Mhm.
like, I remember they brought him in from another organization and everyone was like, "This is the guy. This is the upset of the division. This is going to be crazy." And then I watched it and I was like, "Oh, he didn't do very good." Like, that's all I could say was like, "Oh, he didn't do great," because I'm pretty sure he got submitted by Pantoja, but either way, he lost, and in a fashion that was a bit embarrassing for you to be your debut for a title shot. I'm pretty sure, and yeah, I was like, "Oh, is this what it's about?" Like, I just think that there was a lot of hype for that fight specifically for it to be my first one, and like, I didn't know anything. I'm not gonna lie to you, okay? And it's not. I mean, it's not that embarrassing. It's just kind of like, oh, typical a girl who watches UFC. I think a lot of them are cute too. Like, I can't lie to you. So I was like, oh my God, I think Shavkat is so adorable. I'm super excited. I hope he wins. And then I watched the fight, and I was like super hyped for him. Like, I was like, this guy like is interesting to look at to me, and I don't know. I just think that I want him to win. Like, I didn't have any particular feeling because I didn't like Ian Gary or like I knew his style or anything. I just remember being like, yeah, I want Shavkat. And then I watched the fight and I was like, I saw his hand get raised and I was like, I don't feel like he won. I don't. A lot of it, what I remember is Ian Gary's shorts getting ripped because that was obviously really interesting in that moment. But I felt like it was either, it's been a long time, but I think I either felt that it was close enough that it could go either way, but probably leaning towards Ian Gary, or Ian Gary won. And I've talked to people about it later in life, like kind of recently, where I was like, oh, I feel like Ian Gary shouldn't have lost, and everyone's like, go back and watch the fight, go back and watch the fight. Shavkat clearly won, and I haven't ever gone back and watched the fight,
Mm.
but I think the general consensus is that like people don't think Shavkat should have won that, but I don't know. I've never gone back and looked, but I do remember feeling weird about that decision. I was like, I don't know. I at least felt like everyone was saying that. What do they call Shavkat, the boogeyman or something? I was like, he didn't seem as dominant like that everyone was making him seem. All the edits were making him seem. I thought he was going to go in there, hit him with a knee in the chin, and he was going to just pass away in the cage. But clearly, it was like a good enough matchup that he didn't get to showcase the boogeyman thing. So I think I let that influence me, where I was like, Shavkat is going to kill Ian Gary, and then he didn't. So I was like, it wasn't that interesting. But yeah, I felt like it was obviously enough for me to like continue to want to watch. Like I was intrigued by it, but I do feel like that was a really weird one for me in the beginning, because I was like, I think I needed like a clear and cut winner right then and there. I wanted somebody to get knocked out so I can be like, all right, this is what it's about. Like this is the UFC. But it was split. Like it went to a decision, so I was just kind of like, huh, that was weird. But then ever since then, I've seen pretty much at least every pay-per-view, and I've pretty much watched all Apex cards and Fight Nights, all of it. So kept up pretty
Like
much.
Kai is from an organization called Ryzen,
Yeah.
which was kind of a, how do I want to describe it? The people that were behind Pride when it went under,
hmm
Sakaki Bara and those guys that were the promoters of Pride are the promoters of Ryzen now.
hmm
But for what I lived in Japan 2002, 2005, so I went to a lot of those Pride events, and they haven't been able to recapture that. And I think a lot of it is because of Japanese fighters at the time. Japanese fighters are really innovative, I would say. They were more well-rounded than most fighters from other countries at that time,
hmm
the late 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s. And they were successful because of that. They could kind of get away with, okay, we're not as big, but we're
hmm
more well-rounded. We have more technique. We can beat a lot of the best guys. And
hmm
I don't think that's the case anymore. Now, as far as like Kai, Kai's hugely famous. Him and his brother Mikuru are
hmm
hugely, and when I say famous, like really famous in
hmm
Japan. Like if you go look at their follower count on YouTube compared to your favorite UFC fighter, they're in the millions in
hmm
comparison to. Yeah, so that's kind of why I think he got the fight in the UFC. It was kind of a deal between Sakakibara and Dana White kind of deal where they said,
hmm
okay, I'll loan this guy to you, but you have to give him a title shot right off the bat.
Right.
But they didn't give him Mikuru because Mikuru is more popular and better than
hmm
Kai is.
hmm
He's still fighting in Rising.
hmm
But yeah, that's why that happened the way it did.
Well, it's also kind of like what Kai fought again kind of recently
Yeah,
and then lost again.
yeah,
And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it was a joke or not, but I think he was like, I would like to go back. I'm good. I don't really want to keep doing.
yeah.
UFC is not for me. And I felt bad because I was like, oh, I really want him to win, especially in that moment too, like with not knowing anything. I didn't know anything about Pantoja. I didn't know anything about anyone, by the way. Like the only people that I knew were like Dagestanis, because like Chara was my influence. I already knew about Habib previous to like even really knowing about the UFC, but like I knew about Dagestanis, but I didn't know any of the champions from any of them. So I was like, Pantoja, I don't know who that is. Who cares? I want the new guy, his title shot. Like that would be crazy if the first card I watch, this guy whose debut is also a title shot from a different organization, and then when he lost, I was like, oh, okay, well that kind of sucks. They hyped him up really big. And then yeah, I don't remember when he fought again, but yeah, he lost again. And I was like, you know what? Just let
He
him
fought
rest.
Tim Means.
What?
Who's
What?
he's from Oklahoma, where I'm from, and
Oh
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. That was sad. What was that? Was that
it
in
wasn't that long ago. Yeah, I
no,
forgot the exact date, but
yeah, I can't remember
yeah,
what it was, but yeah, I remember being like, oh, I'm excited. Like I was like, okay, I'm not a betting woman at all, but I was like, I wouldn't bet on him. And then I was like, yeah, I wouldn't have bet on him. Yeah, and I think that that's kind of sad, but I hope that doesn't discourage him. If he's good where he's at, like if he's good in Rising, like that's good. Like if he feels like the UFC is just not his wave. I don't fault him for that. I don't think he's like any less of a fighter because of it. I do feel bad for him, of course, because that is kind of like that's a bummer. It's a bummer to lose twice, especially the first time. That's kind of ugh.
So when you watch your first event, what made you feel like, okay, this is something I'm gonna have to keep viewing, keep
Um,
following,
honestly,
get deep
TikTok.
into? Why?
TikTok is the reason that I am so invested in the UFC. Like obviously it's not that I ever like had to like warm up to watching events. Like it was interesting off the rip. Like I just think again, I'm a very intense person. I want things to be like explosive in my life at all times. Like I just hate like boredom, all these things. So it's like really nice to have something so violent, I guess, to like tune into. But then also TikTok and like TikTok editors are just so like super creative and keep my attention on these fighters. So it became more of on like a personal level as well, where like I have found my favorite fighters. I have found people that I like really resonate with or I'm really excited to see because of their style. And like TikTok has encapsulated those things without me having to watch a fight. Like I'm not really the type of person to like look up like, oh, like Magomed Ankalaev highlight clips. Like I will find that within what people are putting out for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
And it does have its negative sides where I feel more biased towards things based on who I see more or people's, fighter takes and things like that. Like I do think that does play a role. Like I said about Shavkat, where I'm seeing these crazy cool edits of the Boogeyman with these crazy songs. I'm like, this guy is awesome. And then I watch it and I'm like, okay, he's cool, but not what they're making him be. And I think that that's kind of like lessened as I've watched. But like when it was super new to me and all these fighters were new, I'm like, okay, wow. I don't even know who for an example. I don't know. Like I don't even know, but it's just like you see these edits, and I'm like, oh, everybody's editing Ilya Taporia. I think he lives up to his edits. I think clearly he lives up to what he gets put up as. But even that, it's like, okay, people love Ilya Taporia. They edit him in this way. He must be like really good, and I should tune in to watch him. So TikTok has really kept me up to date in a lot of things when it comes to news, fighters, new fighters, people getting kicked out of the UFC, whatever. So I think that, but also just gives me something to do. I like the fact that I can look forward to something every Saturday where like, okay, I know the UFC is on. So it's better than like having football where it's like, oh, they're on a bye week or this, that, and a third. It's on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. Yeah. It's just, I know I have something to do every Saturday night. So it's a good routine as well.
But you decided to start creating behind it, so it was something
Yeah,
that you were obviously very interested in.
for
So
sure.
why do you think it gripped you in that fashion to where you wanted to? It's one thing to watch it a lot,
Hmm.
but to start creating stuff behind it, you have to be more invested in it, I would say.
Yeah, I think that it's like not a lot. A couple people know this about me. I have like a decent following on another TikTok account. I haven't really posted about it much on my main account because, like, on Slapwatch, because it's like a it's a
I need to
Shara
find out
Bullet.
what it is.
It's a Shara Bullet focused account because
Oh,
like that
really?
was my favorite fighter, and like
Hmm.
I also the thing about me is that like I've been a fangirl my whole life, like with whatever it is. Like I'm really, into music. Like I like electronic music a lot. And I've focused majority of my life on that. And there's just like random celebrities here and there that I've always loved. And I have like made art from it and for it. And I love to edit things as well. So like I am a TikTok editor myself. So that is another reason why I'm like super invested in it because I was like finding a lot of influence on what edits I wanted to make specifically for Shara Bullet. And yeah, and I became like kind of I wouldn't call myself an influencer by any means. Like I think that there were people who wanted to watch me because I am super opinionated. So the things that you see on my other account, like on my Slapwatch account, I was doing there first and in even more chaotic way. Like I think I've really honed in my skills for my account that where I can have like more broad conversations, but over there I was talking about Dagestani specifics, like specifically about Dagestani fighters. Like the thing, like I don't know, I was like, oh my god, Shara's new hats. Like I found my real in through Shara Bullet. Like that was the fighter that I really liked, and that helped. And I found a community, especially of women, through that. So that has kept me going because I found a community within one specific fighter, which is really cool. And especially to find women as well, because the MMA world, the UFC sphere is very it's not very forgiving to people who look like me as a woman and a black woman at that. So it was really nice to just like have women who could understand my obsession for this very random niche thing and this random, very, very random niche fighter. And so I had a lot of people encouraging me as well. Like I made my account probably within like a month of watching the UFC and like finding out more about Shara, and gained a following, posted a bunch of edits, found one girl that would always like we would repost each other, and like we grew up at the around the same time. And then I started posting myself and like ranting about stuff and just like talking about the cards as well. And I would go live on there all the time as well. People would tune in and watch me watch the fights. And yeah, I just think that I think that's what kept me going too, is that I was entertaining people and I liked doing that. So I was like, okay, I want to keep watching and keeping up even more so and like learning more about fighters rather than just Shara, because I feel like I can entertain a broader audience than just like the little fighter girls who like the like, Russian fighters. So I was like, you know what, let me branch out and see what I can see. And then I went to my first event, all that. So yeah.
That was the Seattle event, the shirt you're
Yeah.
wearing? Kind
Yeah.
of tell me about that. Like, did you stay
That
at the
was
hotel and all that, or?
No, I'm from Washington, so like I'm
Okay.
in a city neighboring. So I just took my
Okay.
friend out for the night, and I it's the friend that I like watched my first card with, who was dating that boy or whatever. And yeah, it was really cool. I was super excited, but then that card got dismantled like 7 different times. So at one point we were gonna have I was super excited to see Islam. I forget his last name, but not obviously not Makachev, but the Islam who's from Germany, who's like a model at the same time. I was like, oh, I'm excited to see him. Islam Dudovin, I'm pretty sure, or something. But then he got dropped. There was just so many people who got dropped. Curtis Blades. Um, but I was like, I bought my tickets. I got really good seats because I have given the UFC too much money within a year. But I bought the fight pass, so I had all the like, early pre sale tickets, got good seats. And then we got there for the first fight, and the all of the prelims were knockouts, which was so cool. Like it was so cool to see that live in action. And it kind of sucked because we were on a roll, like where every fight was ending in a knockout. And then the light heavyweight fight was just like a snooze fest. Like I was just like, you guys are so heavy. Somebody should be able to knock somebody out right now. But it was really cool to see Ricky Simone, who's from Washington, get the knockout. And I think that was knockout of the night. Like I think that was crazy. He had him gasping for air. And yeah, that was super cool. And
He's
then
an underrated fighter, I would say somehow.
for sure, the last
Uh,
person to beat Marab is crazy,
yeah.
and it was a really long time ago. But still, like I think he's super underrated. It was super cool because everyone was super hype, with him being from here. So it was like, oh my God, that's even more exciting. Obviously, the main event it got stuffed because of the eye poke, which sucked because I was super excited to see Song Yudong. I was not excited to see Henry Cejudo. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan. I went to the ceremonial weigh-ins the night before, and he pulled out the big fortune cookie. It just was like just very distasteful, and I'm just like, it really sucked because Song Yudong was like, oh yeah, in 2008 I was selling T-shirts of you at the Olympics, and then he brings out a giant fortune cookie, and he's like, I didn't realize Song Yudong could speak English. I'm like, nobody's laughing. That's not funny, and I don't like that. I don't play that. I don't like the racism, all that stuff. It's really hard being a fan in this sport when that's so prevalent, especially when it's like the fighters themselves. But it did suck because my friend was super excited to see Song Yudong, who like doesn't know any like she knows now through like watching with me, but like she really likes Song Yudong for some reason. So it sucked to see him get eye poked, and then the whole thing gets stopped. And yeah, in the moment I was like, come on, Henry, just get up and fight. But then I saw the pictures afterwards and I was like, okay, yeah, actually, yeah, that does look pretty bad. But the energy was really cool. I had a great time. Um, I wish they would come to cities more frequently. Like I wish they would just do a faster turnaround rate because I would be back in a heartbeat. And I went to Vancouver as well, which is like really close to me too. So I guess that's good enough.
What you should do is stay at the fight hotel, and then You could watch the event somewhere else even then because like you see everybody there. You can
Yeah.
talk to people or whatever.
Yeah, when
And
I was in
it's a different vibe when you're staying at the hotel.
Yeah, I went up to Vancouver and I watched the fight and then I ended up at the fighter hotel afterwards and I was like super nervous because like I met a bunch of people in line at the Diego Lopez like meet and greet and then we ended up hanging out afterwards and they were like we're going to go to the fighter hotel and I'm like no, like I'm so nervous like
Yeah.
I don't want to do that and then they were like oh yeah the people who were staying there were like no it's super strict like you got to show like your hotel key like if you want to get in there if you want I'm like okay, then I'm not gonna go in. And then I ended up walking in, and it was just very easy. And I saw Cutman Tate, um, Anthony Smith. I didn't say anything to him. I don't have anything to say to him. Drew Dober, who had just fought that night. It was his birthday, and he had two black eyes, and he was just like super sweet, super cool, and like I guess if you just act normal, it's cool. Like they are just
Yeah.
normal people at the end of the day. But yeah, I was just like hanging out in there, and it was cool. I had a good time, and I definitely will probably like peep that next time and if I go to another city or state or whatever, I will stay at the fighter hotel because that's a cool opportunity for sure.
Yeah, because I went to the Dallas one and I stayed there. And
Mm-hmm.
I did go to the event, but I felt like I could have watched it somewhere else and it would have been fine. Because
Yeah.
the experience of staying at the hotel, you meet everybody, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk to pretty much anybody. Although they don't want
Yeah,
you like stopping people too much, but
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's why did you not want to talk to Anthony Smith?
I don't I don't have anything to say to Anthony Smith. I
Is it
think
because
his
he's opinionated or
well, yeah, I thankfully haven't heard too much. I don't think I would like a lot of what he has to say. But yeah, also just his behavior and just like the way that he ended his career and like flipping someone off in the crowd and like he also
yeah,
he just seemed like there was a lot of people swarming him. Also, I don't know. I don't really that wasn't my era of watching. Like that's the thing. A lot of these people I did not see like their prime or even like very much of them at all. Like, you
right.
know, I don't I'm not gonna be like, dude, Anthony Smith, you're fight. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have anything to say, so I'm not gonna like embarrass myself. Because like, what are the? I bet the odds are very low of him being like, "What's your favorite fight of mine?" Like, he wouldn't do that. But I would have no answer, so I don't need to like put myself in a position of like having a conversation that I don't know anything about. Even Drew Dober though, like the only reason I even said anything to him is because I just watched him fight. I didn't know who he was previous to that, so I was just like, "Good job tonight," and we chatted it up for a little bit, and I was like, "Ooh, like they were really like booing you in there," and he was like, "Yeah, just didn't expect him to be that mean to me," and he was like, "It's my birthday." I was like, "Oh, dang, happy birthday!" Like, congrats on the win, but yeah, Anthony Smith, his energy does not low key. I feel like we would argue because I was arguing with with Kevin Holland's head coach. Me and him were button heads a little bit. Like it was relatively friendly, but like I am so opinionated that I would get into a fight with Anthony Smith. Maybe like who knows?
He's very polite because I did
Yeah.
see him at Dallas Hotel. Like I've been to a million fights, right? So I had
Yeah.
my wife with me, and I was like trying to get my wife to take pictures of people because she
Hmm.
had never done any of this stuff. She's
Hmm.
not really into fighting that much from the Philippines. She's kind of low
Yeah.
key person, and he was one of the people. I was like, Anthony, come over. And he's super polite. Couldn't be more polite, you know. But I saw something on TikTok actually that I never really thought about, you know. I don't know if because you've only been in sports short. Someone broke into his house and tried to.
Yeah.
He got kind of in maybe a life or death situation. Had he
Hmm.
not got the upper hand, he might have got hurt or even killed.
Hmm.
And it was interesting. The guy, I need to look up his thing because I need to credit him, but I'll do it
Let's talk
later.
about.
But uh, he said before that happened, he had won like over 70% of his fights.
I saw
And
this.
then
Yeah.
after he won like 38, and I was like, that
Hmm.
is kind of fascinating, that because it is a traumatic thing to experience.
For sure.
Someone breaks into your home and tries to kill you,
I know.
And
And then him against Johnny Walker, like you're like
I wonder
he's
what
like.
other things in his life that we don't see if they
Mhm.
also went.
True, true. Yeah, honestly, probably. And that's the thing is that like I also didn't say anything too because there was just so many people. I like he was across the bar from me and like it just kept like I was observing him and he was just like like thanks man, thanks. Like people kind of were like on him. And so I was like I'm not going to add to that. Like I don't if he imagine he's been getting bugged all night and then I'm the one, like the last person who says something to him and he's like, bro, leave me alone, you know? I bet he would be very nice, especially like if I wasn't pestering him. But yes, I did see that TikTok of somebody like looking at the data of his fighting
Yeah.
after that type of thing happened to him. And I'm sure, yeah. And with Johnny Walker, like, you're attacking my family. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's very funny in the moment, but like, I bet that was very upsetting for him in his
Yeah.
mind to like be in that moment again. I don't know if that was like the first fight after that happened, but it's like that I can understand that. I can empathize with that. And I'm sure that messes with your psyche really bad. And I mean, you could even say that about a lot of fighters. Like, a bunch of traumatic things happen to these fighters, and then it's like, dang, yeah, and you guys are doing this like very violent thing. Like, ugh, I would be very scared as your opponent if I found out that like, yeah, your family member died or something in this traumatic way, and I'm like, I have to fight you next. Like, oh, who knows what's gonna happen in the cage, you know? But yeah,
Yeah, it was the interesting thing to think about. He
yeah,
does kind of rub people the wrong way with some of his opinions, I've noticed. Like this whole eye poke thing with Tom
yeah,
Aspinall. But, he's been fighting a long time, and I think something I've told other people in the early days of MMA, I'd say about the first 10 to maybe 15 years or
mm,
so, people didn't quit because of eye pokes or anything else. It was almost like there was an agreement. I foul you, you take your 5 minutes, we continue. You foul me, I'm taking my 5 minutes, we
mm-hmm,
continue. We don't stop, period.
mm-hmm,
No matter what. And I saw like Enson Inoue, who I know real well, and he fought in Pride. He's the
mm.
guy. If you would have ripped his head off, he would have kept fighting. His body would have, you know what I mean?
Right, right,
And
right.
he was saying, yeah, I lost all respect for this guy. I never would have ever considered not fighting if I got poked in the eye. Never. So it's kind of like a mentality thing. I think Smith, even though he's not from that far back, he
Mm.
has been fighting for 20 years, I think he said.
Yeah,
That is a long time, and that was kind of further enough back to be in that first, because sports started in '93.
yeah,
So yeah, he was kind of in there, and so I think he saw that, and maybe he thought, although he did in some of his fights, he kind of broke in some of
yeah,
his fights, I would say. Yeah, so it's kind of some people are saying you really broke in your fights too, which I can understand. You know what?
yeah. And it's honestly really weird because I made a TikTok about this same situation, and it's like I don't fault Tom Aspinall. I don't. And again, this is where like I have to check myself in a lot of my biases because I was angry at Henry Cejudo. I was pissed off because I'm like, bro, come on. And for me, because everyone's talking about Tom's theatrical performance and him just being like, ow, ow, ow. Henry Cejudo literally like sat down on the ground and was just like, like literally like goofing around with the crowd where like we were all booing and he was like, oh, like don't be mad at me. So it's like, how am I supposed to look at you, who is like half the time like not even really covering your eye, like maybe just like blinking a little bit, like why would I think that, right? Like why would I think, yeah, you need to quit, like you need to stop the fight right now? And I mean, we all saw, and like we saw the replay in Seattle, and it did look bad. Like I can't lie to you, it looked bad. But then obviously his reaction afterwards was not giving, oh my god, stop the fight right now. And then we watched the Tom Aspinall eye poke, and we see that 2 digits creep into his eyes, and like it seemed like gone, like kind of pushed back on him in his face. So it's like, oh, and I just think that's like really the problem is that we pick things apart so badly. But I can't lie, I'm a part of it, and I made this point in the TikTok where I'm like, oh yeah, you guys are mad at Tom and da da da. Then I'm like, okay, in the same breath, I was kind of like that with Henry. But I guess where I'll say too is that um his eye poke did look bad. Like after he like posted the picture, like Henry did look messed up from that. Tom,
Yeah.
he looks like maybe he needs to take an allergy pill. Doesn't look that bad. He looks like he just maybe has a little bit of red eye. But then again, I don't train. Why? In what way would I be able to make an opinion on whether or not that was a really bad eye poke? I've never been poked in the eye.
Oh, it
So
hurts.
yeah, I'm sure it
It
does,
hurts.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would be very scared to fight a big grown man with one eye on even like 20% less vision. I'd be very nervous because then, yeah, now I'm at risk for like even more injuries. Like now I'm getting knocked out and I'm getting concussion or this, that, or third. Like it really, I think people are not realizing the repercussions that could have come from continuing to fight with an eye poke. And it sucks that this fight that happened today with his training partner and him
Mhm.
getting poking the guy in the eye and then getting knocked out. It's like, God, Tom can't catch a break, it seems. Like, it's all bad.
Yeah, that guy stuck with it and said, "No, I'm
Yeah.
going to continue." And you know, I think for Tom, maybe he might have been thinking, "Okay, what's this? I'm a heavyweight champ. I don't want to lose my belt."
Hmm.
But the problem I had, and I think maybe the referee could have controlled it better, is as soon as he got poked, like as soon as they separated, he was already considering, he's saying, I can't see, I can't fight.
Hmm.
The ref should have kind of calmed down. So, like, you got 5 minutes, calm down. We'll have the conversation after.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
don't think about that now. Just take your 5 minutes.
Hmm.
And then if you can't see, so be it. But it's like it already had dominated his mind. I'm not going to continue.
Yeah. Right. True.
Damn the 5 minutes. I don't care if I take it. I'm not continuing. It was already in his head that he wasn't going to continue.
And I think do you think that translates as like quitting? Like, do you think that he could see that he was getting pieced up in that way
Mm.
and and was like, oh, let me take this as the opportunity?
It was weird because I watched the fight and it seemed like that was his goal was to fight. He wanted to win in Gon's strongest area.
Yeah.
It seemed like I'm gonna fight him this way. I'm gonna win this way, and that'll be a statement for me
Yeah.
over John Jones. He took him
Yeah.
down right away. I'll knock him out, and I'll beat him in his strongest area, and that'll prove to everybody that I'm the best in the world.
Right.
And he kind of got caught up in that, and you know, I didn't think he was getting just totally clobbered.
I
You
don't
know, it
either.
was it was pretty competitive, but he got his nose busted, and which
Classic.
people react to. Oh my God, he's bleeding.
Hmm.
But I thought it was Gon was getting the better of it, but it was relatively competitive, I thought.
It was round
Yeah,
one, and I think that that's what's
yeah,
really frustrating is that like people are just like, end all be all. Gon would have knocked him out. I'm like, we don't
exactly.
even know that, and I
Yeah.
think that that's what's frustrating is that people are like, oh, it seems like eye poke is like a strategy now. I'm like, what would he have gained from poking him in the eye? Like, it's not like that would have made him win. Because even if you look at with what happened in Seattle, it ended up going to Song Yudong because they had fought enough that they could base the scorecards off of that. And it's like, I guess that's the conversation, disqualification, no contest, all these things. But it's like, you guys, we weren't even done with round one. Right. I'm pretty sure round one hadn't even finished with the Aspinall fight, and we're gonna decide that Aspinall would have passed away in the cage. Why not give him the opportunity? I think that the problem here in general is the fact that he got poked in the eye. Whether or not you think he's a baby, this, that, and the third, like the bigger picture is that there needs to be something done about the digits coming out because
Mhm.
it's not good. And there is clearly fixes. We've seen millions of takes about people being like, just even a little curvature in the glove will help the situation. And to have the president of the company say, who gives a who cares is actually very
Yeah, it's
concerning because
ridiculous.
you
Yeah,
should care.
Bellator in 2008, they made a curve in their glove.
Mm-hmm.
Bjorn Rebney was the promoter of Bellator at that time.
Mm.
And they were running which PFL's doing kind of the same thing now. They were running a tournament format just like PFL's doing now.
Mm.
And they had some problems with eye pokes. He made the thing. It's called a power lock glove. I think he got Everlast to design it,
Mm.
and it was like this, you know.
Yeah.
And this is 2008. And for some
Yeah.
reason, the UFC just does not want to do it. I don't know why. It's baffling to me, really. I'm sure they could get. I don't know if they're worried about patent issues or
Well, and
I
a
don't
lot of
know.
people said that like Pride had gloves in the similar
Yeah.
fashion, and UFC bought that, so they have the patent, whether it's from 1982 or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. You have the rights to it. Why not make it easier? It just shows, and that's what I've learned within only 1 year of watching the UFC is that this man Dana does not care about the sport. Like, there's so many things that people are screaming about with just like the advertising it, whatever it may be, like the quality of things. But it's like, hello, could we at least focus on like the actual safety of your fighters and the fact that their eyeballs are getting involved? Like, how many Sharas do you want? How many Bisbings do you want in this division? Because if that's the case, let Shara fight in America. If you have like you have people who could turn into Shara in 2 seconds because you don't want to do anything about the gloves. And to just hear it come from his mouth being like, I don't care, is like, okay, that's weird. These fighters should probably have a union at this point because that's
Yeah.
crazy.
The UFC kind of have different bosses than they had when, I would say Zuffa took over. The fans were their boss. They were trying to
Mhm.
please the fans. That if someone was good, they would try and go get that person if they were another organization, so on and
Mhm.
so forth. But now, they've already made their money
Yeah.
and they have different owners, and they're just like, you know what? We don't need to get these people. We don't need to go out and get this fighter that everyone wants to see. We don't need to fix our glove. We're just going to do what we want, and who cares? Because we don't need to please the fans. We're not trying to get to this
The notar.
location
Yeah.
anymore. We've got there now. So
And
who
that's what's
cares?
just really frustrating is that it's like you have the what people are thinking like is the fight of the year of JDM and Islam, and you get Dana White, JDM versus Islam. I'm like,
Yeah.
you can't even get a background. Like you're literally essentially like this, like on a Zoom call or something, like on your phone on the camera app talking about the biggest fight of the year. Like very weird. It's like it feels like he's at the DMV or something. Like he is just it's a chore for him to care about this company. And I'm like, then literally don't do it. You have the notoriety, whatever. You like to do your little gambling with all your little teenagers. You like the only fan girl. Like you could go a different avenue. You could do something different. I don't think that he would give it to anybody better than him. Like I don't think that I think that anyone who would be the successor of the company would still probably make it terrible, but it's like funny because people like think people like MMA Guru, who I cannot stand.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I
I
think
don't
that
like him either.
yeah, but he is like, he is so invested and he has so much like time and energy invested into it that like, weirdly enough, he would be a better owner of the UFC. Like, I would hate it because it would be like even more right wing than it already is. But at least he would like have the perspective of a fan, like he would know what people want to see. And I think that people are screaming it from the rooftops constantly. Like I'm a big advocate of let the TikTok editors make the promotions because I am sitting here jumping in my seat, excited goosebumps at the thought of 322 because somebody made it on their iPhone, and then we're getting this like weird guitar string like UFC music with the walkouts of these fighters. I'm like, wow, I'm really glad that this $1 billion company is putting $4 into the promotion. Yeah, this is really awesome.
It
Yeah.
is. It's pretty embarrassing,
Yeah.
but that's one of the things, though. I think when TKO bought the company, there may have been yeah, we'll buy it as long as you continue to do your job. Dana White, you're going to continue to be promoter, and so he
He
might
was
be
probably like,
stuck.
yeah, yeah. Well, but just to show like so much disdain is so weird. Like it's just like no decorum. It's no like it's just very odd. It's like hostile. Like I would if I was Tom Aspinall, like and I made a TikTok about this. Like if I was Tom Aspinall, oh no, I'm ripping my contract up because why are you talking about me like this? Why are you I guess you can't like not let some like the fans talk about you. Like that's what you're gonna have to deal with. But like ooh, wow, my boss is actually being such a dick to me. And just how he talked about Ngannou, like all these different people where I'm like, you have absolutely no class. You have no respect for the people that are your employees. Like, if this was corporate, we would be going to HR. We'd be going to HR because why are you talking about these people like this? Because that's so rude. And yeah, I just think that it's very embarrassing and it's actually like very weird for me in like my personal life that I am so invested in the UFC because it actually goes against so much that I stand for that people are like coming to me in real life and being like, "What? Are you okay? Like are you having like a mental break?" I'm like, "No, guys, I know I'm like giving money and like watching and supporting this like very right-wing company and like think that I like stand for things that I don't believe and like support fighters that say actually egregious things, but it's just really fun. I don't know. It's like it's a weird
Yeah.
thing with me, but
Yeah, I think for you, just like me and some other people, you know, there's a reason I still do this after 1993, like
yeah.
it's because I found this stuff interesting. I used to watch a lot of the kung fu movies out of Hong Kong, that the
Mm,
Shaw brothers made with
mm,
all the overdubbing and
yeah.
guys could fly through the air. I was fascinated by those films.
Yeah.
And, so when this stuff started coming around, it was like an extension of that to me, sort of.
In like
because
real
you had
life.
guys that had different styles and stuff in the beginning.
Hmm.
So for me, I didn't care about who was involved in putting it on or although
Hmm.
I thought Art Davie was a pretty interesting guy. I've talked to him on my show a few times and stuff.
Hmm.
He is an interesting guy for sure. The guy who originally, started putting those on. But for me, it was all about, and I think the same for you. You're watching something, you find these fights interesting. You find the how somebody gonna execute interesting.
Hmm.
It's not about who's walking out with Dana White or stuff. I don't care. For me, like you probably, it's like, or even when I watch football game, how's this team going to stop this other team?
Hmm.
Because they haven't looked like they could do that all year.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
yeah, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's where you're at, and I think that's what most real fans of the sport are. MMA guru, like you're talking about, anybody can go out there and make people upset. It
for
doesn't
sure.
really take any skill to do that. I could do that
Yeah.
tomorrow. I could start pissing people off immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there would be people that would start watching me, you know.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
is that what I want to do? Like MMA Guru, if he showed his face around the UFC event, he'd probably get his head caved in.
Sure.
So there's something he likes, but he can't be a part of it. So
Yeah,
that's the
that's
cost of
true.
his behavior.
And it's interesting too because he's like, "Oh, I'm going to be doing like commentary for UFC Vancouver." I'm like, at this point you've made so much money. Why have you never pulled up? Yeah, like why are you afraid to go to a real event?
Yeah,
And like I don't know his story. He could have gone to UFC events in the past, but I'm like, with somebody who is so, I guess because he makes his money from being on the computer and like watching. But I'm like, why not show up? Oh yeah, because people are probably going to talk, they're about to press you in
yeah,
real life because you have pissed a lot of people off. And I think
right.
that I pissed a lot of people off too, but well,
Yeah, if somebody saw him, it could just be a regular fan. There's a lot of people who don't like him, so he'd have to be
yeah,
like, he'd have to
I'll
his
have
head
them.
on a
Yeah,
swivel. Yeah, because
yeah,
someone probably take a shot at him.
for sure. And that's what's like interesting. It's like I feel like I've like kind of been battling it because I am so extremely thankful for like the people that I found with making UFC content. Like I made the first one about the Rajah Jackson situation and it like kind of got a little traction. I was like never really planning on making a lot of content, especially on that account, because that my main account was just something that I was using. Like that's my Instagram, and that's been my Instagram since seventh grade. Like that handle Slapwatch. Like I would have probably made my name something different, like more MMA related. But I just happened to use the account that I already had followers on, and just like I'd kind of given up on the Shara thing because like he's it's all about Diego Lopez and me now. Like I'm not
Really,
really big on Shara like that anymore. Yeah, so it's
Diego
like
Lopez, huh?
yeah, I'll show
What
you.
changed about Chara?
Well, really quick, let me show you my picture with Diego in
Okay,
Vancouver.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
whoa, really zoomed in. um, I don't know. I just think that the second one, I was really sad about MVP, and I actually still am. Like I'm an MVP fan at this point because he honestly showed like a lot of restraint when it comes to like
Mhm.
the the emoting on Shara. Like he was really respectful. Why? I'm so sorry. Why am I zooming in so much? Um, I felt like he was very kind to Shara, and I think that he realized like he's kind of in over his head.
Mhm.
Um, why I even like Shara in the first place could literally never tell you, but I was really interested in seeing him fight for the first time in Abu Dhabi for my first time watching him fight. He was coming off the hype of the double spinning back fist. He was like, "Oh, I got this, I got this, I got this," and then I watched him fight, and I'm like, "Oh, you don't got it, you don't got it," and it just didn't feel like he had the drive in that moment. I think that he did a lot of like hyping himself up. I think he's really cocky, and he doesn't really have what it means to back it up. Like Ilya Taporia can be cocky all day long because he can back it up. You know what I mean? Like that's somebody who can kind of be a dick and like get away with it because who's gonna check him? Nobody. A lot of people can check Shara, and I really wanted to believe. I never really was like, oh, he could be champion. Like I never felt that in my bones for him, because he can only fight in two locations, only a few times a year. Never gonna hold the belt. So sorry. Love him down, still not gonna be champion. And I want him to have that dream and maybe work towards it as hard as he possibly can. He's getting smoked within the top to 15. He has already, right? The MVP who was not even ranked took his spot, and I think it's the second fight. I was really scared because I watched UFC Montreal. I actually had tickets to that to that fight. I just ended up not going. I love Montreal. I was like gonna go and watch it, but I just couldn't end up finding time to go. But I was watching at home and watched him fight Saint Benoit, Saint
Yeah.
Benoit, and watching him actually like, sorry, like crack the skull of a man and send him out on the stretcher. One of Shara's old opponents, mind you, who Shara took down Bruno Silva, which one? There's about a billion Bruno Silvas, but the Bruno Silva that he fought, right? Am I right? Bruno Silva, yeah. And having him go out on a stretcher, watching that, I was like actually sick to my tummy when I saw that Shara was going to fight him next. And then I start talking to more people like, oh my God, should I just like be sick? Should I not turn into the fight? And they're like, no, Saint Benoit or whatever his name is, that's a can. Like he's gonna be like Shara's got it easy peasy lemon squeezy. Like no, he's like not that good. That was a lucky shot in that moment. And then I watched the Shara fight, and I'm like, do you have any drive at all? Like, do you have any drive? He just broke your nose. He shattered your nose, and you're still not like fueled up, fired up to like make it pass out. There's points where like he's literally like shaking, wobbling, and Char is just like, I'm like, go in on him. Like you don't. I don't think he has like the attack power or something. Like it just really started to frustrate me watching him fight. That I'm like, he doesn't seem hungry enough to want to be champion. Like he says step by step, I will becoming champion. You don't have the drive to become champion. You know what I mean? Like it was just very frustrating, and I think that I just knew, okay, this is not even anybody that I can like consistently watch fight to begin with. So it's time for me to like broaden my horizons to new people. And it was Diego Lopez for me. So yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the problem for him, and you had mentioned this before, like when you don't have the physical speed, it's hard to ever get it because some people just aren't fast. Their body's not fast like Michael Venom Page. He relies on that. You know,
Yeah.
his reflexes, his ability to make people miss, his distance. And
Yeah.
some people will never have that. So that might be the part that, when he gets up against people that are quicker, he's not going to be able to execute. But he has had success. It's just that
For sure.
I don't think he's really a quick guy, but he is, he's very tough. He has a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different strikes that he likes to use.
Mm-hmm.
But the speed problem, like so if someone wants to stay away, like if you ever go to UFC gym and train in the octagon,
Mm.
it's huge.
Really?
Like yeah, like if you're circling around that thing, it's huge. So it's almost like doing laps around a track,
Right. Yeah.
So there's so much space to get away from somebody that that could be the part that he struggles with if he fights guys who have that ability to kind of move in and out.
Yeah, it just seemed like there were literally times where it was like a cartoon, like a finish him, and like the person is literally swaying with stars around his eyes, around his head, and he's literally sitting there just like, I'm like, I have a video of my mom literally like, yeah, like run after him, like go after him. What are you doing? Like, it would just be to the point that I'm like, I just maybe the vision is a problem at this point. Like, is he not seeing this? Like, it just doesn't seem like he has. I don't want to say anything about his fight IQ. I know nothing about his fight IQ. It's just more of like it's just it doesn't seem like it's registering for him that he has these pockets to take advantage. It'll be points where like there's the perfect setup for him to like I don't know like uppercut them or something. I don't know the technical like I'm not that tuned in that at this point. But then he just like will low kick them. I'm like, why did you just do that? Like you literally could have just their hands are down, their guard is down. You could have punched them in the face, and then he's just like chopping at their legs. I'm like, this is honestly at this point just becoming a frustrating watch. And I know nothing about fighting. I have almost no training under my belt, so I can't like suggest anything. But it just seems like there was a lot of opportunities for him to do a lot more damage, especially after he got his nose shattered. Like I'm like, why did that not just like fill you with rage? I'd be so pissed off if my nose was sideways and this the opponent was still standing. I'm putting you out. You just broke my nose. But I guess that's just
It usually has the opposite effect. If a guy gets their nose busted, they're usually kind of scared at that point
that's true.
because
I
it
mean,
messes with your breathing and your
true.
eyes get kind of teared up. Um,
Oh, it was so gross.
the pain, obviously, of your nose getting knocked. I've never had mine broken, but I've been hit in the nose, a bunch of times,
Hmm.
and you feel like you broke it, like.
well, there was
You
no,
reach up like, oh shit, like.
yeah, his stuff was, it was like a U. And when he popped up, I was literally like, ugh! I was on live and I was like about to cry because it was just like, it made me, that was surprisingly, that is the grossest and like most gruesome thing that I've seen so far as like a new fan. Cause I never saw the Anderson Silva leg snap. That's disgusting. I have seen videos of it, but that's
Mhm.
gross. And I'm surprised I have yet to see like no arm breaking or anything, but that is the most gruesome thing I've seen so far. And it happened to my favorite fighter. So I was like even more emotional about it, but it was just like that was the one moment because I have not been like grossed out or anything by like the violence of mixed martial arts or anything, but that in that moment I was like, whoa, this is like maybe a lot. Like I was like, whoa, that's kind of gross. Like that I had a tinge in my heart. Like why am I like excited? Like why is this what I'm interested in? I just watched a man's nose be shattered before my eyes. But then he won, and then I was like, okay, this is awesome again. Like I love this. But that was definitely a hard watch to see. Ugh, that was really gross. I don't like that. But for the most part, oh, the eye pokes are gross too. Eye pokes are really gross, and that happens entirely too much. That's also pretty gross. That Tom Aspinall one actually did make me shudder because it felt like his, at least to here, went in his eye. So, but thankfully, no, like too many broken bones. Ugh.
So let's talk about maybe like what do you envision like some of your creating? Where do you think you're gonna go as far as like, in the near future?
Yeah.
Is there anything you're thinking about?
That is a really interesting question because it's something I'm actually like kind of battling with in my mind because like I'm super thankful for like, if you don't mind, if I could shout out a few creators here.
Mhm.
Zombie Man J has been, oh sorry, has been pivotal in my growth. He is reposting all of my stuff. He became mutuals. He's just like very supportive of me and my content. Captain Yap has been really awesome as well. Murata MMA has just been like, I just found a few people who are like, we're just like always reposting each other's content and stuff like that. And it's really good. And I would love to be in the creator program, like I would love to make money off TikTok because they make money off TikTok. They do. They make some good cash. And that would be obviously really cool to like talk about something that I'm really interested in and get paid for it. But at the same time, I have this like grandiose vision of me working within the company. So I do feel like I have to like tailor my tongue a bit more just because I am super opinionated and it's not in the favor of the UFC a lot of times. So I do have to like kind of think about my digital footprint and it's probably already tarnished at this point. But then again, like what I do think that I think it's way more of a negative than it is a positive, but I think the nice thing about the UFC is that you can say whatever the hell you want and you almost won't get punished for it. But I think maybe that's just because people are already in the organization, so they can say whatever they want, so they're not going to get fired. Would it help? Would it probably deter them from like looking at my resume or like my social medias and probably be like, no, we don't really need this on our team because you kind of seem like you're against us? Yeah, it probably wouldn't help. But maybe they would appreciate my honesty. I don't know. Like maybe they would appreciate how I really feel. Do I think they would ever give MMA Guru a job? Hell no. But then I'm like, am I giving MMA Guru? I don't know. I don't think so. Like I am opinionated like him, but mine aren't just like mine aren't like hateful. So maybe that'll help. But yeah, it's like my goal is to network really well. Like I'm my friend lives in Arizona and she's already like called me and told me she's like I met just like so many people who work for the UFC. I'm like, what? That's crazy. She's like, oh, I tell them about you and how like you're just super invested in it. And it's weird because people just like assume that I'm like kidding or like I don't know. But like this is really like my life at this point. And I hope to like network as best as I possibly can. And going to the fighter hotel honestly did help as much as I was like kind of arguing with um Kevin Holland's head coach. He was like, this is the best type of place to get into contact with people because literally everyone is sitting right here at the hotel bar right now. And I'm like, true. I think I'm a little too nervous right now, but like, I'll keep that in mind. I'll go to the hotel bar next time and start talking to people. Um, yeah, I think I don't want to be in the next Nina drama. I don't want to do that. I don't think that's my path because I just don't
Thank
think I could
goodness.
ever. Yeah, no, and I made a TikTok about it, and I think that one did actually kind of good with numbers wise, but I would never subject myself to doing something like that. I couldn't be neutral in a lot of different ways. So could I be Nina Drama and like be able to interview both parties, both candidates, or like both fighters, no, I think I would be a little too biased to one or the other.
You'd have to.
I know, and I think that that's where I have to hold on. I'm really quickly going to turn this light
Yeah.
on because it's it's getting dark. Oh, oh shoot. Um, Here, I'll sit this way. Um, so sorry. Hold on. I didn't think about this. Here, this might be better. Yeah, so I would have to. I would have to do that because, that is the job. But like I said in my video, I would not be able to like have a personal relationship with these people outside of it if I didn't agree with them. That's where it gets a little funky for me when it comes to her. I wouldn't be able to like kick it with Sean Strickland. That would never be me. And that's where I think she's special in that way because she has a relationship with all these people, and I don't agree with it literally at all. But that's where I think that's where my point was is like I don't know that my digital footprint wouldn't look too good if I had to be unbiased because I think that the people could just pull up my old TikToks and be like, "You said you don't like Henry Cejudo," and I'm like, "Okay, but I still got to interview him." You know what I mean? Like, I just think that my content is a little bit too one side or the other. So it might be a little hard to like work really within the UFC, but that is kind of the goal, I guess.
Yeah, you could just kind of, or you could do some stuff with other promotions and then kind of,
True.
yeah,
True. And build my rapport in that way. And
yeah.
I have been trying to look into like the local fight organizations out here. It's just kind of bad. But the thing is that the reason I think it's bad is because they're like there's just a lot of things that I have noticed as a fan that could be better. And I think that maybe I should just like voice those opinions to somebody. And like, since it is in the UFC, who cares? I could scream into the void about how I think that there's a bunch of stuff wrong with the UFC. They don't care. But with a smaller company, maybe they do appreciate somebody noticing and like making suggestions to make things better. Um, I do know a lot of like gyms around here and I know a lot of them because a lot of them are my customers. I'm a barista, so a lot of them come in. So I just need to start to do more talking with people and like just be like, hey, I am what you're looking for because I am trying to give you advice as somebody who you are in turn trying to tailor to. Like, you know what I mean? Like I am such an invested fan in whatever I do that I think I have enough to like give you the tools to be better at your job. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what that is, like a consultant or like I don't know what the word is, but like a PR person, I guess, like where it's just like here's how to make your company better because I'm noticing these things that were bad. And I want to make it exciting for me, which will in turn I'm like a representative of fans, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting. You're right in an area where there's, a lot of the early fighters came out of that Seattle area because Matt Hume was up there.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Hume at a gym called AMC, Pancration.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously he's Demetrius Johnson's coach.
And then Demetrius,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's
The
a
amount of
reason.
people that come
Matt.
in and they're like, so go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, he was one of those guys, one of the first guys that really kind of started putting a lot of stuff together. Matt
Mm-hmm.
Hume, as far as different skills, and I think that's why you saw Demetrius do a lot of that as well.
Yeah,
Um,
the cool stuff. Sorry.
yeah, so that's someone you could learn a lot from, just if you met some of those people that that were around Hume, and
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that there's a lot of opportunity for me to meet a lot of people just because the amount of people like it's actually so weird. I work at a coffee shop and one of my customers like came in one day and he had like a full Venom like fight kit on. And I was literally wearing my UFC like I wasn't wearing this one but another UFC shirt and like he didn't notice me. It was like my first day. And then my coworker, I was like, "Oh, what's that guy's name? Like I got to get to know him." And he's like, "Oh, Art." Like, yeah, he comes in literally every day. You will always see him so you'll have time. The next day I work and I like ask him, I'm like, "Oh, hey, what is like who's you got the UFC stuff on and I'm wearing my shirt like well what's up?" And he's like, "Oh, my brother owns the largest UFC gym in Russia." I'm like, "Okay, wait, that's interesting." And he's like, "Yeah, he has 5 fighters in the UFC." I'm like, "Is your brother Gore?" He's like, "How did you know?" I'm like, your brother is Shara Bullett's like head coach." And he's like, yeah. I'm like, that's my favorite fighter. I'm like, what are the odds that Shara Bullett's coach's brother is my customer? It's just so weird how small the world is. And it's funny. And then like my friend also is in contact with Gore and like is like, hey, my friend knows your brother. It's just very weird that like I have more connections to this than I think, like
Yeah.
you can find people so adjacent to it so quickly because it's not something like, like sorry, I would never be having like a close connection to like Taylor Swift or something. Like UFC in the grand scheme of things isn't that big like globally in the way of like stardom. Like it's really not that hard to like get in contact with any of these people, but it is just crazy that it came about so naturally that I'm like, what the heck? Maybe there's people all around the world that I could just like randomly run into.
I think you'll be surprised that the community itself of people that, when you're talking about fighters, trainers,
Mm-hmm.
promoters, people that are involved in that kind of stuff, it's really pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not hard to network, as you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
because I've done hundreds of episodes,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even thousand at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just because I was around the sport for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Japan, I lived in Hawaii where it was real popular at the time. I was training in those places. And these are just people that I already knew. Like, I don't know if you look at my channel, Dean Thomas, I put a little intro there where he was saying, people may not know who you are, blah, blah, blah. That's because
Mm-hmm.
he's known me for like 20 years.
Right.
I had met him when he fought in Hawaii. He wasn't even around the UFC at that time. You know, he didn't wasn't
Right.
involved with the UFC at all. And he fought in a show called Super Brawl, which is in
Mm.
Hawaii, and I met him there. And yeah, so it's really not hard to get yourself out there if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, and I think that also too being a woman has its perks. Like I do think it's like majority of the time a downfall when it comes to like the general public of the UFC, like the general the fandom, it's hard. Like it's not easy. It's just hard to look at all that stuff. It's just gross. But I think that again, like my friend is just like the people are so confused when I explain you to them when they mention the UFC, and I have to like show them your account and like give them proof that you actually know what you're talking about, and that's like annoying first and foremost. I think that that's just like stupid, but at the same time, it does make me feel good that like people are kind of surprised about that with me. Like I think that I have a lot to offer and I have a lot to give, and it doesn't take much to prove it to them that I do actually like this. But I think that is a strong suit in the same sense is that like it's just kind of random for me, like a woman who I guess looks like me and like acts like me, I guess that is super invested in something like this. And I think I could use that as a strong suit because you don't see much of that, especially if the female representation is Nina drama. You know what I mean? And like again, I made this point in my video, like I'm not trying to tear her down as a woman because that's not what I want to do. It's just like I think the criticism that she gets is valid. I think that the way that people are like, this is just slop, like this is just a pandering to the male gaze. Does it really offer very much? No. Like I would like to be a part of the UFC more as a woman that could offer something and like me being a woman not be the forefront of the conversation. Um but yeah, with there being a lack of representation within the UFC when it comes to like media and things like that, I think that I could find that niche market and help out in that way, and also yeah, not pander to the male gaze and things like that.
Yeah, it is, and I think that what they saw was an opportunity with her. If you live in Vegas, and you're around this crowd on a regular basis, they probably saw an opportunity. I think she had been like a Playboy playmate at one
Mm-hmm.
time, and they may have thought because they didn't always have someone like that they were
Mm-hmm.
using.
Yeah.
Came along later on. Maybe they just felt like we'll bring her out, we'll let her do this, and just because our
Yeah.
audience is mostly male, you know, 18 to 35 or whatever, and she'll fit in there. And so they probably weren't all that. It wasn't like there's, oh God, we need this. They're probably just like,
For
yeah, we'll
sure.
just bring her in, let her do her thing, and
It just
you
it
know,
just seems it seems like she is like such a face for it though. And I think that it's more of an in a negative way, which clearly they don't care. They don't care whether you like it or you don't like it. They don't care.
Mhm.
So it's like maybe it doesn't really matter. But as a viewer, it is a little bit irritating when that I have to rely on her to be the like the advertisement for this company. I'm like, I don't care. And it's one thing for me as a woman to not like be invested in what she has to say, like not because I'm a hater on her because she's a woman, but it's like even the men, the target audience is like, get this girl off of my screen. They are even tired of her. And it turns into like a very misogynistic thing and it actually becomes like a problem. And that's when I don't like that's when I stop listening because I'm like, oh my God, oh, you actually don't like women. And it's actually kind of creepy the way you're talking about it. But it is just like I have seen valid criticism of being like, she does not give me what I need. She is not adding anything to the situation. If anything, it's just more annoying. Um, and it is. I don't think that she's like very like particularly like interesting to me or anything like that. And again, I sound like such a hater, but I just wish that I think about and I wasn't around for this era, but you were, right? Like the
Mhm.
posters that they used to put out for the UFC and just how cool that was and catchphrases, taglines. And now we have Nina Drama being like putting a wig on and pretending to be Patty Pimblett or like doing some weird TikTok trend and being like, come watch the fight. That is
Yeah.
not cutting it. That is not getting me excited. I'm literally like, what is this? What is this? You know? And I went back and looked at all these fighter these like posters for the War of '04 and this, that, and the third. And like I think you might have seen that TikTok of mine, but like stuff used to be cooler. And like
Mhm.
again, wasn't around for this era, but when they did the tour with Connor and Jose, like they went to their cities and this, that, and the third, like what happened? That's what we had, and now we have some random girl in a tank top saying, "Come watch the fight."
You know what
Okay.
it is like. If you watch, there's a thing I think that you might find it interesting. Like there's this thing about the rise and fall of WCW. I
Mm,
don't know if you watch a lot of pro wrestling, but
mm.
when I was in, I think it was early Navy, maybe 96, 97, 98, something like that. Anyway, so they were both running against each other on Monday nights,
Mm,
WWE and WCW. So
mm,
when Eric Bischoff, who was the, kind of like the promoter for WCW, and they had him take over because they had never turned a profit. So what he said,
mm,
first thing they do, and he said this is true about any acquisition, when a company buys something, even if it's successful, which the UFC is, they cut costs everywhere. That's the very first thing that happens. Even if that's making tons of money, they
mm.
cut costs everywhere because they want to maximize
Yeah.
the profits rate. So posters, goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
Any of this extra stuff, you know, if it's not making us money, That's
But
what I was
in
saying about
turn,
Dana before. The fans were their boss. Dana White
mm-hmm,
and the Fertittas, they did want to please the fans when they first bought the company. They did
mm-hmm,
try and make stuff cooler. They did.
mm-hmm,
If there's some guy out there fighting in Japan or Russia or wherever, and people thought he was good, they would try to get him.
mm-hmm,
You know, but as they sold, now that they've sold, these people are saying, "Look, this is what we're going to do. You
mm-hmm.
can still be the promoter, but we're calling the shots here." You know,
Right.
and we don't need this other crap. If it's not making us money, we don't need
Which is very odd because
it.
if anything, advertising would be making you money, and like it would make
I'm
like the
saying
fact.
like huge amounts.
Well, true, I know, but like I would just think that that would make you more excited to like actually purchase tickets to the fight. Like that's the thing is again when we have Dana White sitting like me, like I look like Dana White announcing a fight right now. Like ugh,
Yeah.
oh here we go. Like I have to be on Instagram at just the right time, and I have to wait for you to like put it on my screen with the literal worst attitude on planet Earth to explain to me
Yeah.
that somebody's fighting, that just actually like makes me want to bootleg it. Sorry, I'm bootlegging it now. I'm going to meth streams because you didn't get me excited at all. Like, and that's what has been so cool about finding a TikTok community is that I am excited for things because people around me make me excited. And I want to be that for people and I want to spark conversation. I want to talk about the discourse. I want to do this because no one else is going to, I'm not no one else because there's obviously a lot of content creators, but like with the literal company itself is not going to engage with us fans. Like we have to do it within each other. And that's cool because we have a community and but at the same time it's like oh my gosh like we're literally like uplifting like a dying thing and I that's kind of crazy and I guess I shouldn't even really have that take as somebody who's barely been involved so I haven't even seen the good of it and then seen the downfall but I can already tell it's in a low parts of what it has been and yeah at first I was just like okay this is cool people really like this but now as I get more invested I'm like okay, you guys are giving us literally nothing. And I just think that the lack of like response to things that I think that they should be talking about or just having such a like I can't find the right word, but it's like Dana needs a PR team. Are you kidding me? You're
He
the
does.
face
He
of this
has a lady.
company.
Her name is Lene, and that's all she does.
Lene needs to be fired because
Yeah,
why are you letting
she
your man
is
go there?
she basically just
It's on payroll just because.
her whole thing is to handle everything that Dana White does pretty much. His schedule, all his meetings, his appointments,
So she's
PR. She deals with fighters that are causing problems.
well, how about the man
Yeah.
himself talking about he don't give a can I cuss?
Yeah, sure.
He don't give a shit about people getting poked in the eye. That's
Yeah.
crazy. No president should be saying that. Like, imagine if I don't know anything. Who's the owner of I don't know, like if Bill Belichick or is he 1,000 years old? I don't know. If Bill Belichick was like, I don't care that they're getting CTE. Who cares?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that would be news. Like that would not be good. And I don't think it's news because no one really cares. Like nobody's putting the UFC in the news like that. But that would literally deter me and the problem is that I have really thought about and I brought up in a TikTok video like I said at what point would you realize that this is just not worth it but the thing is Dana doesn't give a shit if you feel slighted by him doesn't care if you feel unsafe under his company doesn't care if you feel like he has done you if like he's put you in harm's way he doesn't care like you could leave and it wouldn't matter
Yeah.
um and that's what's just really upsetting is that like he cares so little about the company that he is willing to like let fighters be treated like shit and like laugh about it later. I think that that's just like very disgusting. It upsets me greatly because there's a lot of people who I think deserve so much more in this organization and he's giving high praises to a man who literally just like isn't in the company anymore. Like how I guess I haven't heard him talk about John Jones in a long time, but even when he was like not gone yet, but still obviously with the fight, I'm like there's so many other fighters that deserve your admiration right now. But you're worried about a man who hasn't fought in however long. Like, it's just like I don't know. It's like a cult isn't the right word, but having
He's
favorites
always
as
operated this way. Like, if you ever, there's a video, I'll have to send it to you sometime. Frank Shamrock was probably the greatest, the
mm,
first greatest of all time fighter we ever saw
mm,
in MMA.
mm,
And, you know, he had a falling out with Dana White, and you would never know who he is now. He's not in the Hall of Fame.
uh-huh.
You probably have no, Shamrock name you may know, but newer fans have no idea who he is.
Is he the one who
You know,
owes him a bunch of money?
no, no, he
Oh.
doesn't owe the money, but he was probably the first greatest fighter they ever had.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ken owes Dana some money, but not Frank.
Mm.
Ken was Frank's brother. But anyway, yeah, they did him that way because when he wasn't on their side, when they bought the company, they brought him out to station casinos and he was living there and he was training Dana and Lorenzo every morning for like months.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came to him with their proposal for what they wanted to do with the company, and he said, "Yeah, I don't think this is right." He said, "I don't think we're here yet. People still
Mm-hmm.
think this is a blood sport." And they
Yeah.
basically said, "No, you're wrong." And he said, all right, whatever, you know, but I don't agree with this, so I'm not going to do it. And as soon as he did that, he was done with the UFC in their eyes, even though this is a guy they had living at Station Casino. And
Mm.
yeah, this is someone they had the highest regard for. But the second he wasn't on their team, it was over. And that's always how they've operated. And one thing he said a long time ago was the guys who fight for very little will ruin it for everyone else forever. And that's true. The UFC knows, well, if, yeah, you want to leave, I'll get someone else in here to fight for half of what you will.
That's just so gross. That's very gross mentality. And like my whole philosophy is like, because I made a TikTok like, congratulations, you're the owner of the UFC. What are you doing? I obviously am not thinking about the true logistics of how to run a company, but like I would make it a point to pay people more because you're literally putting your body on the line. Like you're putting your body and your health and your safety and like your mental status on the line to entertain other people. And you're getting how much money? Like it's sick. And the fact too that like you could get your purse cut when you're on the early prelims because you're 1 pound overweight. What, you walking away with $2,000 after that? Like I don't even think it's worth it at that point. Like sure, you might have the ability to tell a story at the bar, like I fought on a UFC card one time. It's like, okay, but how much money did you really make from this? How much money are any of these people really making from this? Not a lot. And I feel like if you are you're the it boy for Dana, you're making good money. But if you're not, I just don't see how it would be worth it at all. Like, and that seems just entirely too stressful to be in a company like that where you're like, oh my God, does the owner hate me? Like, oh, am I about to like get like shitty treatment? Like, I don't want to be in a situation, especially with something that I love to do, like fighting, and then have to be like, oh, I'm scared of the boss. Why am I scared of the boss? Fight, let's fight. Like, I would fight. I would fight Dana, I think. I don't know.
The problem
He
is,
just
where are they going to go?
I
This
know, and
all
it
come this all
sucks.
comes back to this antitrust lawsuit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, and I had the guy who originally wrote up that lawsuit. He's been on my show a couple times.
Mm,
Um, and Bob Mazy is his name. Yeah, he was one
mm,
of the old school guys. And originally, I'll tell you the story about how he first got interested in that kind of stuff. He was part of Eddie Bravo's original group of
mm,
guys. He was one of the first 10th Planet students when Eddie Bravo was in Los Angeles or wherever.
mm,
And Gerald Strebent, who was one of their guys also, he fought in the UFC. I forgot what event it was. And after the show, he was asking guys for money so he could get a ride back home. And Bob Macy was like, he immediately started like thinking, I want to see how much. I'm going to try to do some research, see how much this show made.
mm,
Why is he trying to get a bus ticket to get back to wherever it
mm,
was he was from? And that was really really when he had started. So it was years and years before that he had really got into that. And when him and Carlos Newton filed that suit, they delayed it for so long, like over a decade. That's why it kind of happened when it did recently.
mm.
But that's part of the whole lawsuit thing is that these guys have nowhere to go. So, like when you're saying they're fighting an organization where maybe they're dealing with the boss, or maybe the boss doesn't like them, where are they going to go?
Yeah. Well, but then you think, well, people are finding more success at this point now in bare knuckle boxing, and
Right.
people are having more success in PFL at this point. And I don't really know the logistics of those two and like what they're really getting paid, but it just sucks because yeah, that it's like the UFC is the powerhouse. The UFC is the I don't know what else. Again, I don't know sports like this. The NFL, like this is the NFL versus the CFL. You know what I mean? Like where this is the big leagues. Like even if you're in other organizations, oh well, you're not in the UFC because everyone knows the UFC. So it's like if you're not in the organization, are you really that good? And I didn't know anything about fighting previous to this, but then honestly, I can't even say like it's not that I don't respect something like the PFL, but we haven't ever really had very good examples of people coming from other organizations and doing well within the UFC. The Ritter, Rainier, the Ritter, whatever. How do you say the Ritter? Yeah, that was embarrassing. Kai. I feel bad for him more so. Patchy mix, like, so it is a matter of how good is the PFL? If these people can't come here and do good, like maybe it actually isn't that great of I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't think
Kayla
about it that way.
Harrison did well.
True, and MVP has done well. Like he's
Mhm.
good too. So it's like it's really not, you can't really gauge it like that. But they are not the same as the UFC, and that sucks. And yeah, it's like a monopoly where it's like, okay, well, we're the guys. So if you want to leave, good luck going anywhere else. And then it also feels really bad because I see on the internet that people are like, oh my God, Tony Ferguson being a part of this organization or this person having going to this organization. That's an indicator that they're washed, like da da da. But it's like, no, a lot of these people, you can look at them and they were treated poorly within the UFC. So is it that they're washed because they're doing relative, well, I don't know. Has Tony, I think, only fought like once so far out of being in a new organization. But
He beat Saul
Ngannou's,
Pappy.
yeah, exactly,
Saul
exactly.
Pappy.
Which I don't think is like the greatest. That's not like a
Those
career
guys, that
win.
guy's videos are awesome. I talk to him all the time, Saul Pappy.
Well, yeah, but I think that
I
people are like,
loved when he
okay,
used to
that's
do the. Did you
yeah.
ever watch when he used to do that stuff?
I think I feel like I
He'd
knew
take his
about
salt and
him
he's Filipino. My
previous.
wife's from the Philippines. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay,
So I can kind of,
right,
but I kind of mess with him about that sometimes. Some inside stuff that most people can get. But
right.
like he was a nurse, and I was like dogging him out because like there's Filipinos and nurses. It's kind of like
Oh, classic. Yeah,
I was like,
they go
yeah,
hand in hand.
go figure. That's what you were. And now I get it.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
a nurse before he started becoming Saul Pappy. But yeah,
yeah.
but Tony Ferguson did good against him. But the problem is, I think what you're going to see in boxing that the UFC is not experiencing in MMA
Mm,
is let's say I win the Olympics for the
mm,
US in boxing and they want to sign me, I could go to Matchroom and show them that contract too.
mm-hmm.
You want to pay me more? I'll fight with you. How about Top Rank? You want to pay me more? MMA, they don't have that.
Well, and also, I have just realized that boxers get paid ridiculously well,
Yeah.
like crazy. And it's so bad in life. I just bring up the UFC in like almost all instances, and I'm always talking about how these people are getting paid pennies to peanuts. If I think that's the saying, literally nothing. And like the fact that people are jumping for joy for $50,000 bonus, like, oh my God, fight of the night, yes, like thank you, like in comparison of somebody who literally sits on the bench for a football team and squirts water in the teammate's mouth, who still gets a Super Bowl ring if they win, and triple of what you got, that's sad. That's sad that somebody who literally washes the team's uniform gets more money than you, and you just got CTE. Like, you just got $50,000 for shattering your ankle for kicking a man in the head. And then what? Your $10,000 purse? And then you have to pay out your whole entire team. You got to pay for your aftercare. You got to pay for your training camp, all your nutritionists, all this shit. You could walk away with $2,000. Was it
Mm-hmm.
worth it? And now if you have a job outside of that, you got to take all this time off because you are in a full body cast. Yeah, that sounds crazy. That sounds like a nightmare to me. Unless you are, I don't know, yeah, Ilya Taporia, get it done in 2 seconds, then you're good. But then a lot of those type of guys come from money anyway. So it's like, I don't know. It really does frustrate me because I just see a lot of like struggling people like Joaquin Buckley. I feel so bad for him. He's just like, my grandma needs round the clock care, and this is just not even cutting it. It's not cutting it. I also just need you guys to call me. Like, I'd be more willing because I need the money. Like, this is what I can do for a living. So can you like give me the opportunity to do it, please? Haven't seen him since Usman, and that was like
Yeah.
7 months ago at this point. It's like, that's the other thing is I'm like, Dana, do you just like want to punish these people? And I think the answer is yes. I think
They
that he
only
just,
owe them 3 fights a year contractually. They don't have to give them any more than that. And if they turn one down, they can turn it down to two.
this is the pettiest company. Oh my gosh, I'm just realizing this is the
You can
pettiest
turn down
company
the first
ever.
offer, but I think the second offer you can't turn down if my memory serves me correctly. So you can say no to the first one, but the second opponent you have to say yes to.
Manal Cop needs to be deleted from the roster then because that man is literally constantly saying no or pulling out. And I'm like, oh my God, no more. There's a lot of people. I hear that that's the case with Umar as well. He is constantly like saying no to people and things like that. But I
Yeah,
want him
they
to win.
only owe you 3 by contract, and if you don't want to do it, then cut it down to 2 or whatever. Because they said, look, we offered you this fight, you turned it down.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, okay, I
We
think,
did what the contract said.
yeah, I think, okay, that's fair. But at the same time, knowing who that man is, I feel like he's going to just make it like hard for people. But
Yeah,
I don't actually know that. But yeah, it doesn't seem far fetched for him to like kind of play the game like that. And then I think that it's, Armin is a good example of like, yeah, when you do that enough times, like you're not about to be fighting. Like, and I think that Dana's pissed off at Armin Sarukian for like constantly just being like, no, or like my back hurts. Like, it's crazy that some people tend to get cocky with him. I'm like, no, this guy is petty. You can't be cocky
yeah,
with him. You can't
for
out
sure.
cocky Dana. And I think that that's probably at least good on his end to like make sure that fighters aren't doing that because yeah, you shouldn't be. But yeah, like to see Armin, I'm like, you're on thin ice, buddy. You should probably chill out on that stuff.
Well, he's wealthy; he doesn't care. So
True.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, he said that the reason that he joined the UFC is so we could get verified on Instagram. I'm like,
yeah.
okay, corny.
Well, it's great talking to you. I know you've used up quite a bit of your time tonight, but
No, I've had a
I
great
can go
time.
on
Yeah.
and on about this stuff all the time. So, um, maybe tell people where they can find your stuff and yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I am Slapwatch on Instagram and on TikTok. I make UFC related content mainly on my TikTok. I'm very opinionated, just warning you. So I like to spark conversations. I like to ask questions, and I like to build a community within the UFC and MMA sphere. So if you're looking to follow someone who likes to yap, follow me at Slapwatch. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you
Jade, it was
so much.
great
I
talking
appreciate
with
it.
you, and I appreciate you coming on. And like I said, love to do some more stuff with you in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, we
Uh,
definitely should. This has been great.
uh,
So I appreciate your time today.
yeah, it was great talking with you, and have a good
Yeah.
night. Everybody,
Yeah.
check out Jada Slapwatch, and until next time, take care.
Bye.
Hola, soy Litzy La Bomba Dilene, boxeadora profesional de México, y estás viendo el show de Todd Atkins, en donde verás y escucharás a grandes talentos del boxeo. No te lo puedes perder.